So on my page, I've done quite a few prisons, and I've learned about quite a few people and a few different organizations. Did you ever have any interaction with like the Aryan Brotherhood or the BGF or the DC Blacks or the Southsiders or anything like Mexican Mafia or anything like that?
Um, Not to my knowledge, and you got to keep in mind that the DC Blacks. That's those are guys in the federal system. I was in the state system, and then like I said, due to the segregation of the races, I was one of those people who primarily stuck to my race and the people that I was dealing with on a day-to-day basis. I tried not to work, so I didn't have a lot of times where I may come into interactions with other races, unless I was at work or something like that. And like I said, I tried not to work or take the easiest job. So no, for the most part, I didn't really interact much outside of my race until I was sentenced. Like I said, well, I was sent into a level 2, which is a dorm living, an open setting, and then there, due to the way it was, the way the prison was built, I automatically had a little bit more interaction because your next door neighbor could be a Hispanic or a Southsider or a white guy. So but now when I was on the level 3s and the level 4s, since it's cell living, I was pretty much isolated myself with the individuals who were my race and from my area.
Who were some notable inmates or people that you were locked up with that you remember that was at Corcoran while you were there?
At Corcoran, I don't necessarily know if I ran across any notable, any note. Well, matter of fact, I did. I was gonna say I don't think I ran across any notable prisoners or convicts, but yeah. So I did run across one guy, and his name just went in and out of my mind. Man, his name was Lavelle. I can't remember his last name right now, but his name was. If you research, guy in Oakland kills 4 police officers. I was locked up with him for a little bit in Corcoran on the level 2. I forget his last name. Lavelle. Yeah, I can't think of his last name right now, but I was locked up with him.
Okay. What's day-to-day life like in Corcoran? Being that you have to worry about all these knives and stuff that potentially something might happen. Like, were you a person that was without saying too much, were you a person that was always prepared for something, or like just give me an insight on that?
Oh yeah, most definitely. By that time that I got to Corcoran, I had been locked down maybe about 10 or 11 years, and so it's crazy now that you mention it, but that was normal program. One of the first things I did, when I got there, within 2 or 3 days, is I secured me some material to make a knife and went in there and made me a knife, sharpened me a knife on the bathroom floor, because that's the type of environment I was used to living around, and so I'd rather get caught with a knife than without a knife, especially in prison and a level 2 when things are so spontaneous, they can kick off in a moment's notice and everything is open. So yeah, it just. But then again, like I said, it was for me and a lot of other people. It was just normal. It was normal living. Even though it may seem abnormal to a person that's free, but in prison, it's normal. And so by that time, like I said, I'd been locked up for a while, and so I was used to the happenings of prison. So yeah.
What when you was in Corcoran, did you ever experience any riots or any altercations with anybody, or did you ever get into it with any COs?
No, I never experienced any riots while I was there. We had, I believe, we had 2 standoffs with the Sureños, the Southsiders, and that's another thing that's so potentially problematic about the California prison system when everything is segregated by race. Even if a black dude from Northern California or the Bay Area gets into it with a Sureño or another race, I'm gonna have to ride. Once when a riot jumps off, they're not gonna say, well, this dude is from this area, he's not involved. It's it's all blacks against all what particular race that was. And so yeah, we had a few standoffs with the with the Hispanics over small stuff like it always is. But you know, that's the nature of prison, you know. And while I was there, though, I did end up eventually later on stabbing a dude, and so I ended up going to the hole, being charged with assault with a weapon, and was sent to the hole.
Wow, really? Do you mind speaking more on that? Like, what was that all about? Like, how'd that happen?
Well, we got into it over a bet. The bet was $1. We had a bet over $1, and I believe he already had some, dude already had some issues with me, and he just used that bet to try to make it more than what it should have been due to his already dislike of me. I paid him $1 over. It was a basketball game when the Detroit Pistons, I believe, was playing the Lakers, and he didn't. I gave him a bar of soap, which in the canteen is $1. The box was a little bit dented here and there, and he didn't like that. But like I say, I believe he just used that to already, push the line on another type of agenda that he had. But if you be sure to watch my YouTube page, I dropped the whole story. Go check it out. It's called Chill versus Goliath. This was an extremely huge dude, man. I would say he was probably at least 340 pounds, real muscular, maybe about 6'3", 6'4". Yeah, go check that out though. It's titled Chill versus Goliath on my YouTube page. 16 to life. That's 16DALIFE.
Y'all most definitely do that because he got some really good stories. Like, and he goes into great detail about these stories. Like, he reenacts it and everything. It's great. It's great content. Matter of fact, he is part of my motivational factor. Him and my pops as to why I started this channel. So I definitely would like to salute you for that in the midst of this. You dig?
Right.
But do you tell us something funny that you might have witnessed in there in Corcoran, if you can remember something. Like, you ever seen someone like do some dumb shit in there and they get DP'd and you like, man, that could have been avoided, or you like, did people play jokes on people in prison, or?
Yeah, and that's the thing, people think that prison is extremely aggressive and all that, and at sometimes it is, but for the most part, you have people in there living like people are living in the free world. They're laughing, they're joking, because you have to make the best of your environment. Everybody's not walking around all day long with a mean mug on their face and a knife in their hand, and so there are plenty of times that there's a lot of joking and playing, and but just right off the spur of the moment, I can't necessarily think of anything funny. But yeah, there are many times when it's a light nature moments in prison and fun and stuff like that.
What have you ever seen someone trip over something super small that you could possibly, like, you would, like, on outs you would brush it off, but in there it's like he didn't change the channel or something and it might have caused like something. Do you ever witness anything like that?
Oh yeah, matter of fact, I do another story on my YouTube page, man, and the name of the story is I think it's called He Wanted to Watch Baywatch or something like that. But this was in the county jail. I seen two guys get into it over the TV, and almost any situation you name, I've probably seen it up in there. People sometimes when they don't have great conflict resolution skills, which of course everyone is not in prison for doing their best thinking. There's always going to be moments that could have been solved and resolved. I've seen dudes fight over handball courts, telephones, chess pieces, basketball, the shower, the smallest of things, the smallest of things, man, cutting in line, because everybody is, well, not everybody, but you have a lot of people who are hyper vigilant about being exposed or being targeted as someone who won't stand up for themselves. So sometimes you have people in situations, they overreact because they think if they don't respond in a certain violent type of way, they're going to be marked and victimized for the rest of their stay.
Okay. What do you think? Okay, so you have people go to prison, right? Out of what percentage of people that are there are actively trying to like switch their life around versus staying with all the activities? Or is that even an option? to stay out the way?
Well, no, it's definitely an option to some degree. Like I said, as long as a racial riot doesn't break out, because when a racial riot breaks out, they don't care if you Crip or Christian. You're expected to participate, or your folks or your particular circle that was in that riot is going to definitely deal with you later on once everything is hashed out. But it's always hard to put a percentage on people trying to change their life when a vast majority of the time I was doing in prison, I was on the negative side of things, and so that's who I was dealing with. So, but yeah, maybe a few years before I left prison, California started putting a much larger emphasis on rehabilitation, and then so once they started doing that, giving lifers the opportunity to go home, you did see a big change in more people trying to do things in a positive manner. But as far as putting a percentage on it, it's kind of hard.
What would you say going to prison has changed about you? From 90s chill to late 2010s chill, being released.
Well, most importantly, it made me realize, man, that there's definitely dire consequences to certain acts. You know what I'm saying? Because when you gang bang and you grew up in a certain type of environment for a long time, most individuals, that aspect is always going to be there to a certain degree, some larger than others, so it's just realizing though that if I go past a certain part, it may lead to consequences that I don't want to experience. I still sometimes have no problem going upside a motherfucker's head if I have to. That's just real. It's just in me. My thing is being disrespected. I'm gonna give you respect. Don't disrespect me. And so, but now I have to understand that there are consequences that goes with that, and I don't have the luxury sometimes of react in a way that I would have reacted a long time ago, or it's gonna inconvenience me in the long run more than it's worth. Now, so basically, the answer to that question is now it's made me realize that it's better to enjoy my freedom than to lose it over things that's not worth it.
What this kind of might be doubling back, but what's in your entire prison time? Okay, what was like the scariest thing you experienced or seen, or something that was just like, oh my goodness?
Well, to me, I think the scariest thing that I've seen a lot of dudes get stabbed, and I was on the yard a couple times when people got killed. But like I said, sometimes, when you're living in that world, because I just didn't go to prison and be thrown into that world. I'd been living in that world for 5 or 6 years before that. So seeing a lot of violent activity and stuff it wasn't new to me, and at some point in time, it was fun to me, to be honest. As long as you're not the one getting your ass kicked, sometimes watching a good fight is fun. But what was most scary and shocking to me is when it was time for me to go to the parole board, and I realized that I had no control or over my life or over anything that happened to me in relation to me possibly being, regaining my freedom. So that was the most scariest thing that I experienced, because you have no control, and so once I realized how much power I gave the system over my life, that was scary.
Did you ever see or come across anyone that the media might coin them as a quote unquote prison bully, like a dude that's just walking around with he just can't be touched or something?
Oh yeah, you see a lot of those a lot of times, man. And like I say, the guy who went to the hole for stabbing, he definitely was a prison bully. He initially didn't come on as a prison bully, but later on I seen that due to his size, he was used to taking certain liberties with people and having people not say anything because he was extremely huge, and so before that day, I checked him a couple times and said things to him, and I'm sure that I could tell he didn't like me responding the way I responded to him, and he probably wasn't used to a person voicing their opinion that strongly and stuff. And so yeah, but you see people all the time, man. You have people in there that prey on the weak. You have people in there who've been exercising a long time and are extremely big, and sometimes those people aren't even as bad as they portray, or they're not as violent as they portray. They're just not used to being tested, and so sometimes they slip through the cracks. And once somebody finally tests them in one way or another, it comes to light that they're not as tough as they thought they were, or you may have thought they were.
Okay, so being that this is YouTube and, you know, views come from all over, from all different types of walks of life. If there's anyone that's watching this that's currently active in the streets doing anything from X, Y to Z, what is your advice to them?
Man, you know, like I said, it's extremely hard, because I was one time that person. You know, I was out there in the street, and it's just telling most people that's really out there in the street and that's knee deep in what they're doing, it's not going to register. Sometimes you just have to see things and experience things for yourself. But what I will say is, you know, once you lose your freedom, you know, it's a different type of ball game, and you know, things don't seem as important as they once were before you lost your freedom. I'm talking about in terms of representing your block, you know, getting money, getting fast money the illegal way, being down for people that's not down for you, because it's easy to, you know, it's easy to be a part of something when you're on the street and you're having big money, but once you locked up, you know, you really find out who's who, man. Life goes on. And so, you know, I would just definitely say think long and hard about, you know, the choices that you're making, because sometimes we do things that we can't undo later on, and they cost us more than we realize it, you know.
What and before I wrap it up, what was your favorite thing to eat in there?
You know, I really can't even think about it. Nothing really comes to mind. I guess I would say tostadas, but the tostadas that I was making, we could get a quarterly package every 3 months. You know, we could get a order from a vendor, certain vendors and stuff. So that was probably my favorite thing. I'd order these tostada shells. They were real hard and crispy, and some chicken in the can, beans and rice, squeezed cheese, and you know, hook those things up and knock those down with a big old cup full of Mountain Berry Kool-Aid or something like that, you know.
Okay, young Kool-Aid player. That's right. So before we wrap it up, you do music and you're passionate about making music. Your music's really good, and I want y'all to check it out.
Most definitely.
Can we get a freestyle or a verse, or just spit something real quick for me?
Well, you know, it's hard. It's hard for me. It's not necessarily hard for me, but when I was in prison, due to me having a life sentence, not expecting for me to come home, after a while, I stopped engaging in rapping and freestyling. And so, anytime you stop doing something, in my opinion, it gets away from you, you know. And so, basically, my freestyling now it's not up to par like I would like it to be. It would probably be impressive to some, but it's probably not up to par like I like it to be. So the only thing I'm gonna say is, man, just check my music out. Go to my YouTube playlist. Scroll down the gas stations. You will find a lot of my music there. I also have a song called "Never Gave Me Therapy." It's on all major streaming sites. So y'all be sure to tap in. You definitely gonna be pleasantly surprised, man. Don't get it twisted. The flow is none like Curtis Blow. You know, cats think that because I'm a little older, my flow is outdated. But never. I'm on there, man. Check your boy out, man. Rap with the best of them. Real talk.
That's right. Yeah, check them out. And I appreciate y'all for making it this far. Drop some comments. Let me know something in the feedback. Yeah. And you got anything else to say before we wrap it up?
That's all I had to say, man. Y'all check your boy out on YouTube, man. 16 to life, man. Tap in with me.
All right, y'all. Late.